panic button never fails to surprise me when it comes to porting AAA title games onto the Nintendo Switch. The pure magic this studio can conjure when it comes to porting games such as Doom and Wolfenstein is something I've never seen a studio achieve before. After a long time of us waiting in the dark, we finally have Doom Eternal running on the Nintendo Switch. And I gotta say, I am beyond impressed with how it runs. The gameplay, as well as how they reworked certain aspects in order to make this huge game work on a small little tablet. That being said, not everything is perfect. There are some slight issues in regards to this port, but nothing too big. Unfortunately, there have been many sacrifices that were made to even get this running on the Switch, and while it hinders the gameplay at times, I've slowly gotten used to it over time as I kept playing. I wanted to make this video to show you guys the best parts about this port, as well as the not so good parts it might have in case you want to pick this up yourself. Either way, let's dive into this. I think it goes without saying that nobody should be surprised that this port runs at 30 frames per second at 720p when docked. The Switch isn't as powerful as a PS4 and Xbox One would be, but has enough power to stand on its own to deal with these big games at a reduced fidelity in favor of playing it anywhere conveniently. The It-Takes-7 engine had low hardware in mind as it was being designed, and the Switch port truly showcases the well-optimized nature of this engine. It even goes to show how at the lowest of settings, the engine can still deliver breathtaking views and impressive graphics on a console that's smaller than your average graphics card. And I'll be honest with you, after playing Doom Eternal on my laptop with an average frame rate of at least 100 and PS4 with a solid 60 FPS, it was kinda tough going down to 30 FPS on this version, but it made me realize something with its slow yet portable nature. Normally, we associate Doom with being a fast-paced FPS game where movement must be precise and mistakes can't be forgiven. But here we have this version of Doom where it'll give you a second chance by giving you more time to think and react, just so you don't ruin that family road trip of yours all because a carcass smacked you hundreds of times against a wall. Objectively, and also subjectively, Doom Eternal on PC is the way to go for those crazy quick swaps, flicks, precise, and reflexes that make the game feel 5 times more fast-paced than intended. But Doom Eternal on the go feels like I can casually play this game whenever I'd like to without feeling frustrated or salty for continuously dying. By design, the higher the frame rate, certain enemies will begin aimbotting you as well as glitch out. This game was designed with 60 FPS in mind, and at 30 FPS, everything seems to have been reduced in terms of speed. The AI reacts differently, and at times does not pose as much of a threat even on higher difficulties. I should mention that in-game cutscenes have been replaced with what looks to be pre-rendered cutscenes in order to preserve performance. You rarely get any frame drops during gameplay, yet some of the cutscenes slightly drop in frames. The slow frame rate allows you to scan the environment and pinpoint which demon you should engage or disengage with before they even have a chance to land a hit on you and possibly kill you. Some people may not like how much slower this version of Doom Eternal may be, but I, for one, really like this change of pace. I mean, think about it. If I truly wanted the best experience possible in terms of testing my reflexes and aiming, I would play it on a much more powerful platform. But this, a game that I cherish a lot, can be played anywhere I go. Why shouldn't I be able to enjoy this with ease, even on the highest difficulty? Skills required, however, to even play this, especially on Joy-Cons, which I will get into later. But I really like this change of pace. I can kick back against a tree or a comfy spot and relax to some Doom Eternal. Crank it to nightmare difficulty so that I don't lose that risky feeling of battling waves enemies to death. I don't have to overthink or exert myself. I think of what's safe and when to engage certain demons, and I just simply play. And that's what made me realize about what each platform Doom Eternal resides on has to offer. Not you, Stadia. PC brings a fast-paced and adrenaline-pumping experience. Normal consoles bring a more casual yet somewhat fast-paced feel to it. And the Switch just comes around and goes, hey, chill for a minute. It makes me feel relaxed as I'm killing demons. Not that much thinking required. Just point, shoot, and play anywhere I want to play. That has to be my favorite part about the Switch port. Another thing that enhances the experience has to be the gyro controls, which got me thinking, why are so many developers sleeping on this? It's so innovative for FPS titles that are playing with a controller that it allows precise aiming that you normally cannot do with your thumb alone. By using your wrist like you would with a mouse, you can fine-tune your aim to get those precise shots instead of tapping the analog stick a little too much to the point where you aim beyond the desired target. I always feel like I misjudge my aim whenever using my thumb, but using the gyro aiming has significantly helped me in many ways during demon engagements. The last time I ever used motion aiming, back when I was a kid, I used to play this Medal of Honor game for the Wii with my cousin, and the only way to aim and look around was to literally move the Wii remote to the side so that my screen would scroll to whichever direction I was leaning on. The motion aiming is much more different. It's used to adjust your aim when using the analog stick and improve your accuracy to avoid it missing your shots. At first, I kinda struggled with aiming two ways at once, moving my thumb and then my wrist. It was a lot to take in at first. But soon after tweaking some of the sensitivity and other controls, I quickly adapted to the feature and noticed a significant improvement with my overall gameplay. I found that when holding the Joy-Cons in my hand, motion aiming was working against me instead of with me. I guess the fact that I have to keep my hands still gets a little tiresome at times, but playing in handheld mode is where I've noticed that's where gyro aiming shines the brightest. The screen is practically still in my hands while I'm playing, and when taking advantage of the gyro aiming, I simply move the entire console unit, opposed to just one Joy-Con. From my personal experience, it seemed to me that this is the best scenario to use gyro aiming. I simply move the entire Switch and lean towards the direction I want to aim, and I feel like I have more control with this. Besides all that, the gyro aiming complements Doom Eternal on the Switch very well, much like how it did in 2016 Doom. From running smoothly both docked and on the go, this is seriously one impressive port, and I'm glad that I can play this game anywhere I go with ease. Those are the things that I like the most about the Switch port of Doom Eternal. While there are some things about this game that work and look so well, there are some issues that I personally have run into. I want to get the most important thing out of the way first, and that's the Joy-Cons. These things are not designed for FPS games, like at all. Aiming with the analog stick is fine and all, but the major concern is with the bumpers. I use R for quick swapping and opening up the weapon wheel. At times I find that when I press the bumper, it doesn't respond. Eventually it does after pressing it a couple times, but even pressing and getting no response happens rather often when engagements get a little heated. To make things worse, the other ZR bumper is so close to R that in handheld it's practically impossible to quick swap properly with having two fingers on each bumper on the right and holding the side of the Switch with only two fingers, which makes things feel uncomfortable. When quick swapping with the Joy-Cons, you'll find that you need to buffer the commands in order to obtain that quickness from the swaps. Otherwise, you might aim with a precision bolt, the gun doesn't fire, then you swap to another weapon, but slowly. Even when using the weapon wheel, at times I find that when I open it and move my right analog stick to whichever gun I like to choose quickly, it doesn't select it nearly 35% of the time. I have to hold it for a bit within the desired direction if I want to select that weapon. Other than that, everything else works well for the Joy-Cons as intended. The It 7 engine uses a special trick when rendering graphics and textures. Whichever direction the player is facing, all the graphics and textures will be rendered, while anything out of view is unrendered. I've noticed that there have been some moments where I would turn around, and as the textures were loading in, sometimes I was too quick for it, and can sometimes see a hole in the ground or on a flight of stairs as it tries to render in. Granted, this isn't something that affects the entire level when it happens, but occasionally pops in here and there. I'm unsure if any other arenas do this as well, but dying on Cultist Base basically has the game literally lock you in jail. So if you die in Cultist Base, in this arena, you're basically locked. I feel like a little kid who got grounded and he has to watch all his friends play outside. Look at that. See, they're just having a snowball fight, except this guy is just having acid reflexes. I don't know what's up with this mancubus.
Stop puking on me.
Another thing that unfortunately you have to deal with is the locked FOV in the game. I would imagine that being able to customize your FOV would cause issues with rendering the graphics, the textures, as well as frame rate. If you're used to playing on a default FOV, then this shouldn't be an issue for you at all. However, if you're like me and like to set the FOV to the max to see everything clearly, then you're gonna have a rough time adjusting to this. While the HUD is scaled to look clear and viewable in handheld mode, it doesn't translate well to docked mode. You'll have the game projected on screen with this massive HUD in your face, just taking up roughly 20% of your screen unless you either remove it or reduce its opacity. But I personally think for both handheld and docked mode, we should be able to customize the HUD scale to see where we see fit for ourselves. And last but not least, battle mode. Now, let me just make this clear. I condemn Panic Button for porting this game mode over to the Switch. It's insane to even see it working on this console. Like before, I believed they were going to jump ship with it and just focus primarily on the base game, but it was cool to see that it is available on the Switch. The thing is, however, is this version of Battle Mode is Update 2 Battle Mode, rather than the latest update. The Microwave and D-Blade mod are still in there, meaning lots of lag coming from the D-Blade and hitting demons around corners with the Mean Beam. This game mode is just a bonus. A bonus that even at 30 FPS, the fast-paced nature of battle mode does not translate well with that low of a frame rate. It genuinely hurts to look at. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude or hurt anybody's feelings, but I can't say I'm surprised. This is the Switch after all. To even see that running at a stable 30 FPS is amazing, but not something I can see a bunch of people consistently playing. But besides all that, those are all the complaints that I really have of this port. If anything, this is such a well done port that I'm glad that I spent $90 for the third time on this Switch version of Doom Eternal. Now the real question is, should you buy it? Is it worth purchasing again? Perhaps you're too busy and can't really hook up your console to your TV. Maybe you've never tried it before and only have a Nintendo Switch. I'll just say, I love this port. And if you want to go down that portability route where you can play this anywhere you want, then sure, go for it, if that's what you want. A fellow streamer who goes by Rhythmia FPS once said to me, and resonates with me a lot, that if you can get an hour for every dollar you spent on that game, it's worth a purchase. Really changed how I think about purchasing video games myself. If you liked this video and would like to see more Doom content, be sure to give this a thumbs up and subscribe while you're at it. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, meaning I'll be able to monetize my videos soon, so I would greatly appreciate it. Catch me on Twitch and through my other socials while you're at it to see when I go live streaming Doom. Thanks for watching all the way to the very end of this. I appreciate you for that. Until next time, keep slaying.